Hi, this is Travis from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this clip on the Political Voices Network.
You have committed espionage, and you
Yeah.
can be charged under the Espionage Act.
We just talked about this because of Live Golf, Malcolm, about all these connections that I just feel like there's so many other shoes to drop, like the $2 billion in Saudi money that you just mentioned to Kushner. Didn't he share intelligence with Saudi Arabia? Am I remembering this correctly, Malcolm?
Yes.
That led to a lot of MBS, enemies getting killed in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I'm trying to remember exactly.
Yeah, it was in 2017. The Saudis decided that they were going to extort all of the richest men in Saudi Arabia. And apparently Jared Kushner went there with raw intelligence from the Treasury or some other collection entity that showed these people's assets. The Saudis arrested hundreds of people, put them away in hotels, even though they were fine five-star hotels. They were in jail. Two of them, I believe, died while they were there in captivity. And they were to cough up over $1 billion. So this information, and it was Prince Mohammed bin Salman himself, or not Mohammed bin Salman. Prince Salman himself, Mohammed bin Salman, who said Jared Kushner gave him the intelligence and that he has Jared Kushner in his pocket.
Yeah. What? And talk to us about this document that he apparently had at Bedminster, talking about plans for an attack on Iran.
Yeah. Okay, this is where we get into these funny areas because I've seen documents like this. I've seen war planning documents. I've seen actual contingency plans, execution orders, things like that. If the president of the United States says, hey, we want to consider doing an attack on Iran, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs brings that document to you, there's a couple of things you need to know. First off, those are highly controlled documents. And this is where I think Kash Patel is going to get into a lot of trouble because he was the guy who I think was the go-to, who was going to the SCIF, the Classified Information Facility, and signing these documents out and bringing them to the president. And then those documents disappeared and they didn't get registered into a burn bag, which they must. In theory, they must be returned back to the secure facility. This document was a war plan, and apparently Milley had endorsed it that if we were going to do it, this is what the chairman of the Joint Chiefs would recommend, but it would be, tens of thousands of men, a full-scale invasion of Iran. And Trump was going to use it to show that Milley was untrustworthy. And they say that Trump keeps documents for blackmail. And he kept this particular one to badmouth General Milley. I don't get it. It's weird. It makes no sense, but he likes to have tactile evidence.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this stuff is going to come out. It's about his petty vindictiveness, like the intelligence on Macron. He obviously didn't like Macron. I'm going to guess, did he give that to Le Pen? It's just as you say, the mind reels at what he's capable of.
Listen, there's nothing about Macron that Macron won't tell you. All right. I mean, even if it comes from the National Security Agency and we're listening to the phone calls between him and his mistress, okay, that will only get him a rise in the points, in Europe. But Trump could have been using that to I really think that he's a blackmailer. And I think that when it all comes out, when it's all said and done, you're going to find out he was trying to Zelensky a lot of people. That he was extorting.
Well, that's the reporting. That's the reporting now. All these Trump administration people are privately rooting that he goes down because you're going to see who he really is that they knew, right?
Yeah, well, we all knew, didn't we? So, but that's his way.
Yeah.
It's the Trump way. But I think that a cheap version of, if we can just go back real quick, a cheap version of Goodfellas. And I think he probably secretly watched that movie and always wanted to be, those characters. Yeah. And this was his getting there.
Malcolm, so obviously all the speculation is Mark Meadows cooperating. He obviously has testified. I mean, the fact that I keep saying this, it's still, as much as I marinate in it, that the fact that, we could be talking about sedition charges for January 6th and espionage charges for classified documents, and he could be testifying about both. It, again, makes the mind real. But what do you think? Unless he's taken the fifth, what do you think?
I think Mark Meadows is a full-scale cooperator with the government right now. Mm-hmm. It's pretty clear. Everything that I've read shows that he flipped. And if he's flipped, well, that's going to make things difficult. You're talking about the chief of staff of the president of the United States. most importantly, I would like to know what were on the documents that he burned in his office, which is a violation of every Federal Protection Act. It's a violation of the law on every level. He could go to prison alone on those charges. So let's find out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Speaking of investigations, so this whole James Comer, I don't even know where to start with this thing. So what's her name? Representative Congressman Luna, which is short for lunatic. Yes. This week, can we have 14? This is them talking about this nothing burger.
I simply just put out a fact that came out of a briefing and oversight. So we know that Comer's been obviously working to get a certain document from the FBI that proves that Biden was receiving money from a foreign national, $5 million, when he was a vice president. So it's public corruption. And the FBI not only did not want to hand over this document, it's not classified, but they also said that if the informant who has been with the FBI for over 10 years, very credible sourcing, has been paid over six figures, this is not just some random schmuck.
So, okay, this is the Rudy Giuliani Burisma nonsense that even Bill Barr investigated and said there is nothing there. This is the kind of they're trying to make there, right?
Yeah. All right, listen. Okay. For those of you who are not watching on Free Speech TV, my sunglasses are up, right?
Yes.
Now, sunglasses down. You want to go to the direction of public corruption? Okay. Let's play this game. Okay? You want to bring in some floozy FBI officer? Release the document. Because apparently the document belongs to a classified human source. Go ahead. Let's have the discussion of people talking about public corruption in the Trump administration.
Yeah. Wait, we got to play one more. Representative Luna. Here we go.
100%. The FBI was basically stating that this is one of their most trusted informants dating back to the Obama era, but ultimately that they were in fear that this individual would be killed if they were unmasked.
Hang on a second. Slow down. Because this is like now in a mob movie.
Yes, and then between that and to the other point of the FBI is infiltrated, you have a spy by the name of One Eye. I mean, I say it and I feel like I'm in a James Bond movie, but unfortunately it's true, who has been leaking information to their knowledge to Hunter Biden in regards to the ongoing investigation into him. So we can't even trust the FBI.
Let's connect all this.
Are you familiar with the spy named One Eye?
Yeah. I am not the spy named One Eye. Hold on, guys. I have to move to a more quiet location for this.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Wow, this is like a West Wing walk and talk.
Yeah,
this
this
is
is cool.
fantastic. Hi.
This is the walk and talk. I can confirm 100% that I am not the source.
But isn't this a typical they're afraid he might be killed because, clearly that's a way of, saying there's obviously a huge scandal here. Mm-hmm. This is a scandal Bill Barr said was no scandal.
Right.
I mean, anyway, go ahead.
And the funny thing is that the first thing that they want to do whenever they meet any opposition is they bring out the craziest conspiracy theory that you could ever find.
Right.
And it always involves movie conspiracies where people are going to be killed or they're going to be disappeared,
right,
and all these things. And these nuts believe it.
Yeah.
They all buy into this. Listen, here's what that source said that they're supposedly backing up. The source heard from another source. So if I have a credible officer and he hears something and he knows it's nuts, that doesn't mean that he actually believes it himself. He just has to answer the question. I say, let's go. Let's do the full public corruption discussion.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go all the way back to Jared Kushner, Ivanka, Jr., everybody else.
Yeah. Here's my favorite part of this story. Comer said Monday he'll begin the process of holding FBI Director Christopher Wray in contempt of Congress, despite viewing and being briefed by Bureau officials on the subpoenaed document that alleges Biden's involvement in the scheme. So he's already seen the document he's demanding and going to hold Wray in contempt for.
Jamie Raskin has been brilliant about this.
Yeah.
He really has. If you haven't seen the video of him responding to this, it's absolutely amazing that these people have made a conspiracy up in their minds.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they are trying to get documentation to back up that conspiracy. And with that, they are to say anything, do anything. And every time they open their mouth, it's breaking news, something new. And you're like, no, that's not breaking news. You've known that for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Well, give me 10. This is
right.
Comer and Raskin. Hang on.
All I know is there's an ongoing investigation. They confirmed there's an ongoing investigation using this information. I assume that ongoing investigation is in Delaware. I don't know that, but I assume that.
Is it part of an ongoing investigation? Comer said that it was part of an ongoing investigation, and that's what he learned.
Okay, but then I must have missed that because I've not heard that this is part of any ongoing investigation.
I mean, just fact-checked in real time. I mean, Chuck Grassley said, what did he say exactly, Travis? We don't really care if the information about Biden is accurate. I mean, they say it out loud.
They love the sentence, ongoing investigation. When Zelensky was being extorted, he wanted to be able to say there was an ongoing prosecutorial investigation happening in Ukraine for Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. They just want that sentence, ongoing investigation.
Trump's done it twice about Ukraine. Just say there's an investigation, and he did it about January 6th. Just say there was fraud. My Congress people will take care of the rest, right?
Yeah.
Republicans say they won't cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. But can honest, hard-working middle-class Americans really believe what these politicians say? Republicans said they wouldn't overturn Roe v. Wade. Here's what Supreme Court Justices Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett said during their Senate confirmation hearings.
Roe v. Wade, it is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. A good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court.
Roe v. Wade. It's settled as a precedent of the Supreme Court.
Roe is not a super precedent, but that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled.
Well, we saw how that turned out. They played us for fools. Tell your elected officials to keep their hands off of our Social Security and health care benefits. Fool me once. Let Majority Rule was responsible for this message. LetMajorityRule.org is a project of the Marvin Lucas Super PAC, which is responsible for and paid for this ad and is not affiliated with or authorized by any political campaign or candidate or candidates committee.